Hey guys, welcome back to Puff It Loud Up, and welcome back to Café Enchanté. We are on Ignis's route, and we kind of just spent the whole day watching him skate. Like, I didn't know he could skateboard, and apparently neither did he, so let's just get right into it. I think I already read this, so... that was fun. Watching people skate up close is exhilarating. On the walk back to Enchanté, with Ignis as my escort, my adrenaline peaked.
俺からしたらお前のはしゃぎようのがすごかったけどな。技決めるたびにぴょんぴょん跳ね上がって思わず吹き出すところだったっつ。
I think I was taken by the spectacle of it all. At one point you landed a string of tricks without breaking a sweat.
ま、気持ちはわかるぜ。俺だって格闘技とか見てると声上げちまうことあるしな。
Ignis outstretched his arms like a hawk, full of confidence after a successful ride.
体を動かしてだいぶ頭もすっきりしたな。これで余計なことを考えずに済むぜ。
Useless junk? Did something happen?
ああ、いや、別になんもねえんだが。なんもねえのが気になるっつうか。まあ隠すことでもねえし、一応お前にも話しとくか。
Lad? As the two of us made our way back, Ignis recounted the story about the minotaurs that he received from Jami. Wait, so the minotaurs are gone? For what little I've seen of them, they came off rather aggressive. But how could such a fearsome clan vanish without a trace? It does seem a bit unsettling, doesn't it?
まあな。ただあいつらも調子に乗って他の魔獣とも散々やり合ってっからな。うっかりヘマして殺されちまったのかも。
Ignis's expression immediately dropped.
悪い。
Wasn't trying to worry you about this stuff. If I was to guess, that's how he would have finished his thought. No, don't worry. It's natural to be concerned about the welfare of your home. But still, a hint of regret lingered behind Ignis's crestfallen eyes. He attempted to play it off, hastily changing the subject.
それよりあれだ。今日の夕飯って何にすんだ？
You're already thinking about food? Isn't it a little early?
そりゃまあそうなんだけどよ。最近前にも増して腹が変だよな。ベスティアに戻るたびに襲ってくる魔獣もどんどん増えてやがるしよ。
Why does he keep getting jumped? What? You mentioned that pretty casually. Are you okay?
雑魚が束になったところで俺が負けるわけねえだろ。ただ
Oops.
毎回襲ってくるタイミングがあまりに良すぎんだよな。まさかまたあっちで俺の動向がつかまれて。
Ignis perked his nose upwards. He came to an abrupt halt, twitching as he sniffed the air. What's wrong?
この匂いは。ことね。ちょいお前はここで待って。
Maybe we should go with you so that Kotone doesn't get jumped.
いや、やっぱ離れんな。
Oh, well, okay.
俺についてこい。こっちだ。
I'm glad he listened to me. Huh? What? I darted after Ignis, who veered off course in a quick fashion without saying a word. What's going on? Ignis spotted an alley that was tucked away from the main street, and I followed close behind. I tilted my head slightly, observing him as he tracked his scent. Gah! Then, a large shadow began to loom over me. That freaked me out. Huh? What? Why was there Bestian Minotaur here? I yelped, terrified by the beast. The shadow, a bipedal minotaur, revealed its massive claws as it prepared to strike. Before I had the chance to react.
やっぱな。
Yes, Ignis! Ignis, light on his feet, circles the beast swiftly, then smashes its claws with a fist. The Minotaur was unfazed. The beast raised its hulking arms, roaring as it broke into a menacing stride. But
うぜえよ
wrecked. Ignis yet again managed to parry the incoming attack with ease. He countered with a strike to the Minotaur's gut, knocking the wind out of the beast. Well, that was quick. The immense impact caused the Minotaur to collapse in place before letting out a shrill cry. Thankfully, Ignis had the wherewithal to... Wherewithal? What's wherewithal? I thought it said wherewithdrawal, but I don't know what that is. To use only a portion of strength, keeping the nearby buildings from collapsing as well. One hit KO. Ignis's efficient display of combat prowess saved us, giving me no time to panic. I have expected Ignis to crack a smile shortly after, but... Whoa, that's a face I do not recognize. Huh? I heard a resounding crunch. Ignis stomped on the unconscious Minotaur, as if to add insult to injury, or perhaps the other way around. I thought he punched Kotone for a second. I was like, nuh-uh. He delivered the finishing blow with a bellicose smile, reminding me of his killer instinct. Wait a minute, Ignis. Don't you think that's a bit extreme? I can't recall him being as ruthless the last time he encountered a Minotaur. When I grabbed the hem of his sleeve, he stopped in his tracks. What sleeves? He's not wearing sleeves! Well, okay, whatever.
悪い一回りでけえアルムムだったから加減を間違えちまった
Oh, Ignis, no. I'm so afraid. Ignis lifted his foot off the Minotaur's torso, taking a peek at his unconscious face. I followed suit. My curiosity got the better of me. You beat it fairly easily. What's a beast doing here, though?
そういや前に水族館前でも似たようなことあったなまたホールにでも落ちたかにしてもなんでまたアルムムなんだ
Hey, Ignis?
あんだよ今こっちは考え事の最中
I remember minotaurs and the other bipedal species are conscious to a certain extent. They're sentient, aren't they? Oh, flashback to that, I suppose. As I recall, the minotaur who took Kororo hostage in Bestia was different from the one we saw today. Compared to that minotaur... Considering that, didn't this one seem cruder, almost primitive?
そういやそうだなこいつ最初から最後まで鬱陶しい鳴き声しか上げてね
Well, I'm glad you recognize that.
まるで解個体いやそれ以下の知能みたいな
Still, because it was splayed out on the ground, knocked unconscious thanks to Ignis, we couldn't check for ourselves. For now, we should speak with Rindo and return this one to Bestia.
あ図体がでけえからトラックで来いって伝えとけよ
Roger that. After sending a message to Rindo, he quickly replied that he was on his way. It must have worried him just as much. Then... Oh! The Minotaur spasms took me by surprise. I let out a scream as I leapt backwards. Ouch! My back and arms slammed against the wall behind me, which was closer than I thought.
一人で何やってんだよ
So sorry, I thought it moved, so I jumped. Ow.
あどうした
My hand kinda hurts. I glanced down at my hand to expect why it was throbbing so badly. There was a scrape, tiny as it was, on the back of my palm, plus tiny droplets of blood began to seep out. Oh, it looks like I banged my hand against the wall. The wall had some blemishes, which explains how I cut my hand. But the wound was nothing. As long as I give it proper treatment, the cut should clot in no time. But I noticed something. Ignis? Ignis was staring intently at the scrape on my hand. Before I could ask him what was the matter... Oh, picture get! Oh god! He grabbed hold of my hand. Oh god, ew, Ignis, please! Something hot made contact with the cut. That's a much deeper cut than I expected too. I thought it was like a small cut. What? Ignis? Are you a vampire? What's going on? How many seconds had it taken for me to realize that it was Ignis's tongue? For a while, I was stunned, trying to understand what was going on as it was happening. Hey! Ew. Ignis grazed my cut with his tongue, punctuated his licks with sharp breaths. I felt his soft lips make gentle contact against my skin. It tickled and stung in equal measure. But above all else, it was impossible to ignore the intense embarrassment burning inside of me. Ignis! I shouted so loudly that my voice cracked, which finally seemed to stop him.
Huh? 琴音、お前なんでな妙な顔?
Initially, Ignis stood there with a blank look on his face. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. I pressed the back of my hand on his chest. I saw the realization dawn on him, starting in his eyes before it sank downward, gripping his stomach as it pulled him back to earth. It wasn't long before the red in his cheeks rivaled the red flames engulfing his body. Panic began to set in, and out came a flurry of excuses before I posed a single question.
ちげえ! 今のはあれだぞ! 単なる消毒だ! ベスティアでは怪我した時こうやって適当に手当てしてっからそれ以外の理由はねえぞマジだからな
Okay. I understand. What was this? This overwhelming awkwardness. I could still see heat rising from my hand. Every time I glanced downward at it, Ignis shifted his gaze elsewhere. Someone, please save us from this punishing silence. I muttered the invocation to myself silently. Jesus, Rindo! Then we heard a pair of brakes screech from the direction of the street, followed by a gaggle of footsteps rushing towards us. The footsteps belonged to none other than Rindo, whom I had contacted earlier.
連絡ありがとう。例の魔獣は、うわ、想像以上にでかっ。
Rindo eyed the unconscious minotaur, inspecting every inch of its enormous body carefully.
こんなデカ物が表に出る前に捕獲できてよかったよ。イグニスが一緒だから大丈夫だとは思うけど、怪我は。
His voice trailed off, as though he picked up on the subtle, awkward tension lingering in the air.
何この空気?
Don't worry about it. Someone is following him. Oh, Lord. They're gonna use Kotone against him or something, I bet. The GPM agents gathered at the scene where we encountered the beast, covering it with a sheet before loading it in and driving off. Rindo saw them off with a wave, waiting until the truck was a bit further away before letting out a heavy sigh. By that time, both Ignis and I had somewhat recovered from our interaction.
それにしてもまたベスティアの魔獣とはね。確かにホールが多い世界だけど。
Rindo stretched his neck as he contemplated what it could mean, while the truck carrying the Minotaur vanished.
なんでまたピンポイントでこの町に?
Yeah, it seems to be the same town. Isn't that weird?
ホールは固定でもしない限り、世界中にランダムでつながる可能性があるんだけどな。の、ただの偶然だろ。まあ今結論が出せる話じゃないか。
とりあえずこの件は僕らに任せて。そろそろ日も暮れるし、君たちもアンシャンテに戻ったら。
Like just the two of us? Just the two of us? Oh God.
それはもちろんそうじゃない？
お前は来ねえのかよ、リンド。
He's right. Come have a cup of coffee. In fact, let's make it a dinner. The intense embarrassment from earlier found its second wind, an encore of shame scored by the mere idea of us being alone. I had hoped for nothing more than for Rindo to accompany us and diffuse the tension which refused to leave us.
いや、僕後処理あるからさ。
My wish was quickly dismissed, albeit with a reasonable excuse.
というかイグニス、普段僕を邪魔者扱いしてるのにどうしたんだい急に。
うっせえな、こっちにもいろいろあったんだよ。
Rindo seemed taken aback by his attitude. Any subsequent attempts to cover the truth, it seemed, only served to worsen things. Shall we go, Ignis? Let's not take up any more of Rindo's time while he works.
おう。
Oh, God. We wasted no time departing from the alley. Ignis and I walked on the path of the lively main street, doing so together in silence. All while maintaining a healthy distance. Social distancing. Ugh.
おい、ことね。
Yes? May I help you?
なんで敬語な上にそんなにビビってんだよ。
Oh, sorry. You scared me. I thought you were gonna lick my hand again. God. There were other reasons, of course. But I trusted Ignis was aware enough of what I was thinking, which I kept quiet. It seemed this was a sufficient hint, and he paused his initial line of questioning. Then he spoke again.
なんだ、その傷大丈夫なのかよ。
Huh?
だからさっきの手の傷だっての。
He struggled to look at my hand without blushing intensely, as he pointed his trembly finger to the cut.
俺にとっちゃ傷のうちにも入らねえ程度のもんだけどよ。お前、人間の女にとってはちげえだろ。痛むだろうしよ。だからアンシャンテに戻ったらきっちり手当てしとけ。適当に済ませんなよ。
As he concluded his mumbled but well-intentioned suggestion, I closed the awkward space between us.
だよ、いきなり。さっきまで露骨に距離開けてやがったくせに。
I could say the same thing about you, Ignis. But a truer, warmer feeling began to emerge through the haze of embarrassment. Thank you for your concern. There was something charming about the way he delivered his shy but kind gestures.
別に心配ってほどのもんでもねえよ。お前に万が一何かあってうまい飯が食えなくなったら俺が困るわけだしな。
Yeah.
だこら、その流すような適当な返事は。
I can't believe how weird you're being.
はあ？
Before I knew it, I broke out into a smile which seemed to dissipate any remnant of shame. I made my way back to Enchanté while Ignis howled at the moon beside me. I love these wolf puns. It's just he's a wolf boy. Nut. No, that meant to say butt. I cannot believe that actually said nut. That is so... I think in Ignis's route so far, this is by far the most spelling errors I've seen in Café Enchanté. I don't know who doesn't like Ignis over on that side, on the translation side or whatever, but nut, I'm crying. The thing concerning Ignis and Rindo was, why are minotaurs appearing in our world? What drew them to this particular town? Something that seemed to be a little more than coincidence would soon become a source of torment for Ignis and myself. Yeah, like his creepy stalker. What if it's like one of his ex-lovers or something? Good God. Ignis. A few days later. Although the Minotaur's sudden arrival took me by complete surprise, thanks to Ignis's quick reaction, it was handily incapacitated in no time, which saved us a lot of trouble. We managed to catch everyone up to speed on what had happened, but it was just a mere coincidence after all. Therefore, no one made anything of it. At Enchanté, it was business as usual, a vibrant but peaceful day. One day, as I was preparing a batch of drip coffee grounds based on the rare type of Hawaiian Kona beans. Nice. I stood while listening to some bright chatter occurring throughout the cafe. Some of the guests occupying the cafe at this time were the Demon King, the Beast, and... Karya and Kororo observed as the other two played a heated game of poker.
フルハウス。イグニス、そっちはワンペアね。ってことは、はい、また俺の勝ち。次のコーヒーもイグニスのおごりね。
だーくそまたかよ。なんで一度も勝てねえんだ。ミシェルてめえなんか適当な力使ってこっちの手札覗いてんじゃねえだろうな。
いやいや、覗くまでもないって。君の顔がそりゃもう分かりやすく手札の中身を教えてくれますから。
ね
This is so adorable. I love this.
これでイグニスの8連敗。
That's embarrassing. That's a little rough. But I love how like this just feels so human. Like everybody in I don't know, they're all just spending time together. I don't know. It's great. Maybe you should consider raising the white flag. I placed a pot of freshly brewed coffee in front of Mazir. It was hard not to burst into laughter at their witty exchange. Judging by how things were panning out, it seemed as though Ignis would be the one to foot the bill for the coffee. Well, I'm pretty sure Mazir has an unfair advantage here.
まあね、立場的にも心理戦の一つや二つ軽くこなせないと。
Mazir put his lips to the mug, taking a moment to partake in a victorious smile before claiming his hot, caffeinated prize. Ignis, on the other hand, stewed in his resentment, staring angrily back at Mazir before asking me a question.
おうそういやことね。お前がポーカーとかに参加してるとこあんま見たことねえな。
I couldn't help from tensing up at the mention of Ignis's inquiry and Kororo's affirmative cry. Me?
そういえばそうだね。いつも観戦してることの方が多いかも。
この際だし、ちょっとイグニスと対戦してみれば。結構いい勝負になるかもよ。
おう俺は構わねえぞ。ま、手は抜いてやんねえけどな。
Kai? I searched for an appropriate response. I wouldn't mind playing, but, just don't be too disappointed, okay? Oh, God.
3カード。
I got nothing. Oh no, Kotone!
2ペア。
No pair. Oh no!
1ペア。
No pair again. Mazir's face! Both Mazir and Ignis gazed at me sympathetically, quietly collecting the scattered cards without a word.
なんていうか、強く生きて。
Karya tapped me lightly on the shoulder. I could have imagined it, but it seemed like even Kororo pitied me for my defeat, despite knowing nothing at all about poker.
あははは。これは駆け引きとかもう関係ないよね。手札の切り方はなかなかだったけど、肝心のカードの引きが悪いというか。
お前逆にすげえな。ここまで役が揃わねえやつ初めて見たぞ。
I told you not to be disappointed. Right. I've never been one to opt for games that involve chance. I can play things like board games, but...
前からちょっと不運気味だなと思ってたけど。
What?
ここまでとは思わなかったぜ。幸の薄さここに極まってんな。お前大丈夫か？外に出るだけで車にひかれかけたり詐欺にあったりしてねえだろうな。
They're so rude. It's not that bad. Just as I was about to challenge his silly notions, the clock rang, signaling evening. On this day, every week, I close up early in order to restock ingredients, or just cuss. However, the lives of those who live in the cafe, along with everyone involved with running it, were largely unaffected. My only real duty was to put away the sign and tidy up the cafe. After those tasks, I had all the free time I wanted until it was time to prepare dinner. What should I do after this? Maybe I'll take a walk to the market for groceries. As I stood there contemplating. Kororo? Although it was unclear to what exactly Kororo was reacting, he started flapping flippers and tail atop the table.
Ah, こりゃお前について行きたがってんな。
Huh? But he usually naps or hangs out with Karya. Is something the matter?
今日はたまたまそういう気分なんじゃない？連れてってあげれば。ぬいぐるみのふりでもさせとけば、不審な目を向けられることもないでしょ。
Okay. If I had to guess, maybe Kororo wanted to explore places other than Bestia for once. Do you promise to be a good boy, Kororo? My question was met with energetic glee, but it was impossible to tell whether or not he really understood me.
んじゃ、留守は俺たちが預かるよ。いってらっしゃい、二人とも。
あ？
You too? Out of reflex, I made eye contact with Ignis, at whom Mazir appeared to give a knowing smile.
おい、なんで自然に俺までカウントしてやがんだ？
だって万が一コロロがはぐれたら君の鼻ですぐ終えるでしょ。君はコロロを拾った本人なわけだし、保護者責任はきっちり果たさないと。
Mazir ships it.
誰が保護者だ？誰が？
Oh, my ears. Luckily for Kororo, he was in the perfect position for a display of affection. In his particular case, a headbutt. He gently struck Ignis's elbow, which was resting on the corner of the table. Wrecked.
うわ、痛そう。骨の隙間に角入ったよね。
Contrary to Ignis, who clutched his elbow in agony, Kororo glanced at Ignis, his eyes sparkling with trust and admiration for Ignis.
こいつはいつまで経っても加減ってやつを覚えねえな。
That's how Kororo expressed his affection. You couldn't stay mad at him even if you wanted to. By the looks of things, it seems like Kororo wants you to tag along with us. What do you say?
あったよ。わかったから。追撃の構えを取るんじゃねえ。
If Kororo were human, one might have thought he was locked in a crouching start. After spending the last minute or so rubbing the small fuzzy creature's head, Ignis stood from his seat. And we're gonna stop here. Oh, everything is... I don't know. I was gonna say everything's going well, but I don't know. I have doubts now, because it looks like Ignis is, like, slowly losing his mind. I don't even want to say that, but he didn't seem like himself when he was battling the Minotaurs. He keeps getting jumped. He keeps eating a ton of food whenever he gets jumped, like, afterwards. And then he, like, subconsciously went to lick Coltone's blood off her hand and stuff. It's like, are you okay, my guy? I don't know. Next episode, we will go out with Coltone, Ignis, and Kororo. It's the weirdest group of folks.